What's going on, guys? It's Jamie here, and today I'm just going to be taking you through some tips in which I used to lose 23 kilos. Throughout my whole life, I've been overweight, and here's how I looked before. And as someone who grew up overweight my whole life, it was a dream of mine to just be in shape and be happy with the way I look. So it's been quite the journey up until now. So as someone who grew up overweight their whole life, I decided to join the gym and try and gain some muscle. So I joined the gym and I didn't really know much about the gym. I didn't really know much about nutrition and dieting. And so I was just trying to bulk and gain some muscle. I did this for about 6 months. And then after the 6 months, I realized how much fat I had gained as I wasn't tracking my calories. And I thought bulking just meant eating whatever you want. Now, clearly that's not how it works. However, it did lead me to gain a bunch of weight. I knew that I needed to change, and so I immediately started dieting. I went from 86 kilos down to 73 kilos, losing a total of 23 kilos. So I think it's pretty safe to say that I know a thing or two about dieting, and I've definitely gained a bunch of knowledge and information along the way. So I'm going to be going through some tips which really did help me lose weight. Okay, so my first tip is to have a sustainable diet. A well-balanced diet, which isn't too restrictive. I found that as my diets got more and more restrictive, it became a lot harder to maintain my diet. And mental fatigue was starting to build, which didn't help. Now, being on a diet, of course, you're going to be restricting yourself to a certain extent. However, you shouldn't be going too extreme. Sometimes you're going to have cravings, and it's all about moderation. Just because you're dieting doesn't mean you can't have certain foods. However, if you keep it in moderation, you can pretty much get away with eating whatever you like, as long as you track the calories. Tip number 2 is to have a high protein diet. The first benefit, of course, is building muscle. If you're going to the gym and lifting weights, the high protein diet allows you to build muscle. Protein's also the most satiating food, which keeps you fuller for longer. And as I know from myself, while dieting, that's definitely a must. If I'm feeling hungry throughout the day, I know that I'm not going to stick to my diet and I'm going to eat some more calories than I should be eating. Protein also has a high thermic effect, meaning that your body breaks down 30% of the calories coming from protein just by consuming them. And it's usually recommended to have 0.8 grams per pound or 2 grams per kilo of body weight. Tip number 3 is to increase your NEAT. That stands for non-activity exercise thermogenesis. This is from the daily energy that you're using constantly, such as walking, standing, and even doing household chores. Now, this can build up over time, and if you increase your NEAT and are purposely walking around the house, standing most of the day, it adds up and you'll be burning more calories throughout the day. Now, you can track this by using apps on your phone or also using smartwatches. I tend to just use my phone, and I've got an app on my phone called Pacer, which just helps allow me to track my steps, and I typically aim for 10 to 12k steps per day. Tip number 4, go to the gym. I've been dieting with and without the gym, and from what I've realized as well, is that if you're going to the gym while dieting and while losing weight, you can definitely build muscle and lose fat. Now, this just allows for you to look way better, and you'll have a way better body composition. No one wants to lose all the weight and then just become skinny fat without any muscle. So I definitely think it's important to go to the gym while being on a diet. Now, the best way to do this is just having a tracked program, prioritizing progressive overload. If you keep improving on your lifts, you'll know that you're gaining muscle even while dieting. Tip number 5 is eat all your calories. What do I mean by that? Don't waste any calories at all whatsoever on liquid. Liquid calories are just empty calories that aren't going to keep you full for long. And so with myself, I completely avoided all liquid calories. When you're dieting, you're already restricted with how many calories you can consume each and every day. And so if you're drinking those calories, you're not going to feel satisfied with the amount you can eat. Now, typically for me, if I was to drink my calories, I know I wouldn't feel full whatsoever, and it would be more difficult to stick to those calories. Especially at the moment, There's so many different 0-calorie options. Now, some of my go-to options is coffee, tea, 0 sugar drinks, carbonated water. Tip number 6 is probably the most important tip, and that's just tracking all your calories. Now, throughout the start of my weight loss journey, it was definitely more difficult and inconvenient to track each and every meal and each and every calorie. However, along the way, you definitely get used to it, and it definitely makes a difference while dieting. If you know exactly how much you're consuming, you get an understanding of how much weight you'll be losing per week, and it's just so easy to be consuming so many more calories than you think. Just throughout the day, if you're snacking and you're not tracking calories, it definitely adds up big time. Tracking your calories should be the main thing, as if you can't track your calories, you'll never know consistently how much you're eating, and in my opinion, that will definitely be a big impact on your ability to lose weight. Tip number 7 is just to trick your mind. Now, dieting is definitely physical, but it definitely has a mental impact on you as well. It's really easy to get mental fatigue while dieting, and it just becomes a challenge to stick to the diet. Now, from what I've learned, if you truly do enjoy what you're eating and enjoy your diet, and remember why you are dieting, you're just trying to improve and better yourself, maybe it's to become more healthy, maybe it's to become shredded, then this will definitely help with the mindset while dieting. If you have a positive attitude, it definitely makes dieting easier. And like I mentioned before, dieting's not about being perfect, it's about being good most of the time. If you're choosing the right options, most of the time, you'll still be able to eventually reach all your goals while dieting. Tip number 8 is being creative. Get creative with every single meal. Enjoy every meal. You've only got a certain amount of calories to play with each and every day, so choose those calories on things that you actually like and enjoy. A prime example of this is throughout my entire diet, I pretty much never had chicken and rice, just because I found that I liked other foods way more. I really like eating ground beef, and so I just stuck to eating ground beef. And then whenever I felt like something else, I would still eat and enjoy them. However, I would track all the calories and make sure I know how much I'm consuming from each meal and see if I'm staying on track or not. And there's going to be some days that you go over calories, and so the best thing to do is to just combat that with a low day the next day. So let's just say you have 2,000 calories and your daily calories is 1,500. So you've gone over 500 calories above your deficit. Then the next day, I just reduce it by 500. Or you just give it 2 days and you reduce your calories by 250 each day. Alright, my final tip, tip number 9, is just enjoy the process. Understand why you're dieting and what you're doing it for. And just try and enjoy the process. Just mentally, it can be so easy for mental fatigue to build up while dieting. So as long as you're staying consistent and you're keeping a positive attitude, I really found with myself that this helped me quite a bit. And it really just is more of a mental battle as well. I realized that if I can distract myself throughout the day, I just usually tend to focus on food way less compared to being at home always. If I'm being at home, I'm constantly thinking about food, and that definitely doesn't help. So what worked for me was just going on walks, getting out the house, just so I didn't have the option of eating more calories than I should have been. And also when it comes to cardio as well, I usually just do 30 minutes of track treadmill cardio every single day with 10 incline and 5 speed. However, you don't just need to do the treadmill. There's so many different options when it comes to cardio. You could just be tracking your steps, like I mentioned previously, and aim for 10 to 12k steps. And it's just about what you enjoy as well. And just do what works for you, because dieting really is an individual approach. Now, these have been all my top fat loss tips that I've used, which has helped me drop a bunch of weight. And I appreciate everyone watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.